Good evening and welcome to the Carolyn Holt Show. I am so happy to have you join me this evening. The number to call if you'd like to comment or ask a question is area code 323-293-3375. Again, the phone number is area code 323-293-3375. Now, tonight, we are going to continue our discussion on supporting children and their dreams. One of the things I'd like to do is give you an update. For the last 2 weeks, we've had two in-studio guests that were students. One, he just graduated college and he is off to Italy as of yesterday to start his professional baseball career. That's Marquise' kid. He left yesterday, and next week his dad will be joining him for 8 days in Italy. So the kid family, they're off and embarking on all of their new adventures as Marquise starts his professional baseball career. And Spencer, I forgot to mention last week when she was on as our guest, Spencer Young, she's a junior Olympian. I forgot to mention that she runs the 400 and the 800. She's a track star, and so she has settled back into school and getting ready to embark on her career. For this particular school season. Also, I'd like to mention one of the sponsors on my show, Math Maze. I want to just inform you parents that Math Maze is an excellent tool. It is a card game that can be played by many different individuals. It can be your kids, it can be grandma, it can be family, it can be the neighbors, but it is an excellent tool for math, and especially to help formulate ideas in your child's head when it comes to algebra. Because many times when children are in high school and they have to pass algebra in order to graduate, this is an excellent tool. The Math Maze game, it's at 2 price points. I think $10 for one and like $15 for the other. And so I'm calling on you parents. Don't wait and let school districts decide what tools your children can use for learning, because the idea behind learning is to explore. And if you can be of benefit to your child, then don't wait. Order the Math Maze game. You can go to Math Maze USA in order to get a copy of the game. But it is so worthwhile, because not only will your children enjoy Math Maze, you as an adult will enjoy it as well, because it's about interaction, and children like that. They like to see mom and dad get in there and ham it up and play along with them, but it also promotes learning. So I recommend, since the school year is in full swing, that you pick up a copy of Math Maze today, especially if you have elementary school children. Math Maze is an excellent tool for them to have at home, because it'll bring families together and create a learning environment that perhaps they may not get when they go off to school every day. And the other thing I want to mention, because tonight's show is going to be about helping your children learn faster. In the next segment, I'm going to tell you about at least 11 different ways that they can use as a process to learn faster in order to do better in school. I think we all as parents want to know that our children are putting forth their best effort, and many times it's our job to help them to do so. So in the next segment, I'm going to talk about 11 ways to help your children learn things faster. But the last thing I want to share with you is Shonda Rhimes has teamed up with Pilot Pens. And she has a campaign for people who are doing great things in communities. She has a campaign going that will help them receive a $50,000 grant. Now, Shonda Rhimes is responsible for the hit TV series Scandal and How to Get Away with Murder. I know many of you are big fans of both of those shows, but apparently Shonda uses a Pilot pen. But the other interesting thing is that the grant proposal has to be handwritten. Now, I found that very interesting because handwriting and cursive writing is not promoted in schools anymore. Now, I personally love cursive writing, and not to brag, I think that I have excellent penmanship. So I thought this was a great thing that handwriting is back in vogue. I have a friend, I was talking to her today, and she was saying that her preference is that her daughter does her homework assignments that must be turned in, that she uses a laptop. And there's nothing wrong with using a laptop, but I think the art of handwriting needs to be brought back. And Shonda is apparently of the same thought, because the grant that you write has to be 500 words, it has to be handwritten, and it has to express how you're making a difference. And the whole idea about the pen is that the pen is considered a very powerful tool of self-expression and unique style. And you can tell that many times by how people write. You know, some people are very creative with their handwriting. I notice a lot that athletes, I guess because they sign such big contracts, they tend to have handwriting that you can't really read. It's almost like it's by design that the signature is something. I guess that only they really. It's almost like it's encrypted. But I think having great penmanship and handwriting is a lost art. So I'm excited that Shonda, along with Pilot, is launching such a program. The pen is called the Pilot G2, and apparently this pen, the handling of it is almost like a car. It has a special design that makes handwriting beautiful, and it makes it look great. And most people say, oh no, you know, I would prefer to type because my penmanship is awful. Well, if that is the case, in tonight's presentation about how to learn things faster, one of the things is practice, practice, practice. Now, I know Allen Iverson, you know, he was famous for saying practice. Who does that? Well, practice is still very important, though, and practicing excellent penmanship can make you some money. So I think that it's worth noting that handwriting is a good process to have, because in this study that I'm going to present, it says that when you put pen to paper, it better cements your thoughts and your ideas. And I believe that because, like I said, I love cursive writing. I think it's truly a great way to express yourself. I remember when I was in high school, we used to have these contests, especially as girls. You know, you write letters, especially if you were writing love letters, and you made big letters with flowers, and you know, you always wanted to make it really pretty. At least at my high school, that's what took place. So I just think that it's a good thing that the revival of handwriting is back in vogue, and I just want to thank Shonda for that. The other important thing to mention about the grant is that in your handwritten entry, you need to express how your program or whatever it is that you're doing is making a positive impact in your community, and that it's a selfless purpose, that it's really something that you're doing that's above and beyond who you are, and that's what selfless purpose is. So when you're creating your entry, make sure that you keep that in mind, that they really desire to know about you and whatever the program is that you are putting together to benefit your community. And the last date to enter is October 31st of this year to get your entry in. I'm not sure when the winner will be announced. I think you can go to Pilot Pen and find that out. So I'm not sure when that is, but I say go for it. There are a lot of people in communities doing wonderful and excellent things, and especially if you're doing something that relates to kids and bettering the educational experience that kids have, then by all means, you know, I encourage you to get your entry, get your grant written, and get your entry in to Pilot Pens by October 31st of this year. Now, we're going to go to break, but when we come back, we are going to tell you 11 skills, I guess, that will help your children to learn faster, and they can help you as well. So stay with us, but I want you to call tonight's show, and the number to participate is area code 323-293-3375. We'll be right back.
Mastering math can be big fun for you and everyone. Play it each and every day. Master math the easy way. Say it, play it, Math Maze.
Why not turn math time into fun time with Math Maze, the new game craze? Get yours today at mathmaze.us.
Mom, now you can help your son master math and have big fun. Play it each and every day. Master math the easy way. Say it, play it. Math Maze.
Make sure your child owns the skills necessary for success in high school algebra. Get it now. Mathmaze.us. Mathmaze.us.
Dad, now you can help your daughter play it like you know you oughta. Play it each and every day. Master math the easy way. Say it, play it. Math Maze.
Math Maze cards contain both Spanish and English. Get yours today at mathmaze.us. That's mathmaze.us.
Thank you so much for joining me this evening. Welcome back to the Carolyn Holt Show. Tonight we're talking about ways to help kids learn fast. In this world today, the faster you know how to do something, the better off you are, supposedly. So that also plays into your children. And it's a new school year, and there's a lot for them to do. And one of the things is to get back into the swing of learning and getting focused on their classwork. And Business Insider, they did an article some years ago regarding helping your children to become fast learners. And they have about 11 skill sets that's necessary for fast learning. And so I want to share them with you because I think not only will these skills be beneficial to your kids, it can help some of you parents. I guess the heading for this is called cognitive science. So they believe that there is a science behind learning. And in order to help kids to live up to the lofty goals that parents set for children, they've given some ideas about how to accomplish that. And one of the things that they say before I get into naming what they are, it says cognitive science has taken a look at how people learn, and the results can help you. It says that if you want to become a fast learner, one of the things that you need to do is rethink how you think about things. You just can't do things the same old way. So the first skill that they say is that skills are easier to pick up as individual parts. So if you're trying to learn something, the first thing you want to do, if it's a new skill, it's easier to learn it in increments, in small increments. Don't try to master whatever it is all in one fell swoop. You have to take your time and do it in increments. The example they use is learning to play a guitar. And the suggestion is that it's a little bit at a time. You learn some chords, you learn some notes, and you put all of this together. So fast learning is done basically the same way. It says words, don't try to learn all the aspects of any skill at one time. Set small, measurable goals. And by small, measurable goals, it's like you do one aspect of whatever the skill is this week. You do another the next week. And by the end of the month, if it's 4 parts to learning whatever the new skill is, then your kid should be fine by the end of the month because they've had 4 weeks to put it all together. So if you do some incremental learning, that's better not only for the kid, but for you, especially if you're trying to help, because tiny skills add up to the whole ability to do what you want to learn. And also, it's important to learn the mechanics of, say, your student is in elementary school and they're learning their timetables. Well, you don't want to learn all of them in one day. You know, you want to learn the ones one week, the twos the next week, and the repetition of that will really help your kids. So if you're in there joining them, there's almost 100% chance that whatever the new information or the new skill that they're trying to learn, it will stick. And the second thing that they recommend when you're learning new things is don't use multitasking to store new information. Well, you know, there's a thought that you that people can't multitask successfully anyway. That multitasking sounds good, but it's not possible to do it. Now, there are people who would argue that, because there are many times people say, well, I can be on the phone and I can take notes and I can have a conversation with a coworker and I can do this. Well, they're not saying that you can't physically do it, but it's gaining knowledge and remembering what you've done. That's the issue with multitasking. So the recommendation in their reasoning not to multitask is that because you need to break down new information into individual steps, because when you get distracted, it can take up to 25 minutes to focus again. Now, when you think about that, 25 minutes, that's a long time to reset if you're trying to do something new. So when you're trying to help your kid, the idea is that you want to help them to stay focused. And in order to stay focused, they can't absorb a whole lot of information at one time. So the idea is to break down the new information into individual steps, because you want to lessen distraction. And it also says that if you spend a lot of time with multitasking, you only gain partial knowledge, which makes sense, because it's hard to gain full knowledge of something if you're not focusing on one thing. If you're focusing on 4 different things, like I said, it's not that you can't do that, it's the memory and the mastery generally does not happen if you're trying to do all of them at one time. So the recommendation there is to break down new information into individual steps. The third fast way to learn is to write down what you've learned, because it helps to cement new concepts in your mind. And that's why I was telling you at the beginning of the show about handwriting. And there is a movement for cursive writing, because it is believed, as the result of a 2014 study, it found that students who took notes on paper with pen learn more than students who type notes on their laptops. It's the physical act of touching pen to paper that creates the stronger cognitive link to material over typing or using the laptop. Handwriting forces you to confront ideas head on, which leads them to stick and for you to remember them. So I love handwriting. And even if you don't have your child turn in the final product handwritten, at least the process, let them write it down, because it's proven that they'll learn more and remember more if they have the pen and paper experience. And since all of us want our children to do well, I think that that's the least we can do, is offer that guidance, is to write it down, because it'll stick with you and you'll remember it for a long time. One of the other skills to fast learning is that mistakes should be celebrated and studied. Now, many times parents are not patient with their children, and when the child makes a mistake, they, give them a hard time. It says, being perfect is overrated, parents. So don't try to force your child to be perfect. So mistakes not only should be celebrated and studied, but it says that parents, remember this: the entire point of learning is to make attempts, fail, and find a lesson about where you went wrong. So remember that. Learning is about making the attempt, failing, and finding out where you went wrong. It says, in 2014, a study of motor learning found that the brain has more or less reserved a space for the mistakes we make, so we can, at a later date, recruit those memories to do better the next time. So I know some kids have been, I guess, subjected to shunning by their parents because the parent just cannot accept that the child is not perfect. Well, parents, I hate to be the one to inform you, but no child is perfect. So help them to understand how the learning process works. And in learning, there is failure. And so it is not the worst thing in the world to fail at something, because you get to figure out how you failed, and then you can do a much better job and correct yourself. So it's okay. It says that if parents teach kids to never make mistakes or shun them when mistakes happen, kids end up missing a wealth of knowledge. And if the overall goal is to enhance the knowledge of your children, then you want to be a support system to them. So just keep in mind that in order for them to learn, generally they're going to fail a couple of times before they get it right. There are some children, of course, that perhaps get it right the first time, and that's great. But as the homework and the lessons become tougher, then it'll be more difficult. So failing is okay as long as they work at succeeding. Just remember that, parents. Okay, the next key to fast learning is being optimistic. Now, I know that for kids, optimism is not often a difficult thing to have, but I know for many parents, optimism can be, because they suffer a lot of things on their jobs, they have a lot of things going on in their personal lives, and so sometimes they're just not full of optimism and enthusiasm. But if you're going to help your child, which is what the focus is, because you want them to be successful in whatever their dreams and their endeavors are, one of the ways to help them is through optimism. It says, don't stress your kids out with negative reinforcements. I think we've all had that at one point in our lives from our parents. It may not have been intentional, but I know I've had that experience. It says, because it fills them with self-doubt and anxiety, both of which is bad for learning. Just as an adult, you know how difficult anxiety can be, especially if you carry around a lot of it daily. Well, you don't want to do that to your children. This is a new school year. You want to do some new things, some positive things. So make sure that self-doubt and anxiety, they're not two of the things that are negative that you want to give your kids. You want your kids to know that trial and error it's a good thing to do. You don't always have to succeed the first time. I think there's an old saying that if at first you don't succeed, try again. Well, here's a prime example. So if they don't succeed at first, it's okay. Remain optimistic. Don't become negative and reinforce negativity because that may be something that you're used to. Children, they have their own set of stresses in school, and so they need your support. And so one way to show them that support is through optimism. It says, according to Harvard Business School professor Allison Wood Brooks, anxiety precludes you from exploring real solutions and real thought patterns that can produce solutions. So that's why I said, just remember, the self-doubt and the anxiety, children, they don't need, because the idea is to increase their thought pattern so that they can learn things faster. It says, decades of positive psychology research suggest that kids will become more successful if we approach things with an open mind and can see room for improvement. Parents, teach your children to see learning as an exploration so they can have a sense of determination, which can manufacture into grit when the going gets tough. And that is so true, because by the time kids get to junior high and high school, they have a lot more subjects that they are responsible for. They'll have a lot more extracurricular projects and activities. And you want them to approach it with a sense of overall success and not defeat. So if you're going to be their ally, the most successful way to make that happen is to encourage them to explore and keep the optimism going. The next, number 6, the way to fast learning, says that kids, especially small ones, gravitate to the weird and wacky. But once the experience of rote education gets them thinking in cold hard facts, the sense of fun can die off. I know a lot of people use very interesting associations to learn new things. And for children, they like fun, and they like different things. So they often use very wacky ways to learn their timetables. And also they use wacky ways to learn, historical facts like presidents and dates and things of that nature. So if you have a history buff in your house and they tell you about a weird way that they remember things, well, don't scold them about it. Help them to embrace it, because being weird and being wacky is part of being a kid. I know it can get on your nerve as a parent, but it's not about you. It's about the kid. It says, as early as possible, kids should gain an appreciation for why they remember things. The answer is because they are unique. So weird and wacky is unique for children, and so that's why they remember them. And if you think about it, that makes sense. If you see something unusual or different, you have a tendency to remember that much longer than when you just see something regular. So weird and wacky produces unique things. It's also a way for them to memorize things and make things more memorable for them. So just keep that in mind. It says, U.S. memory champion Joshua Foer, he memorized a full deck of playing cards in under 2 minutes because he tied them all to weird images. Now, just think, if you can remember a deck of playing cards, I think it'll make you a lot better. I think the game is 21, and a lot of people like to go to Vegas. So if you have that kind of memory, then, you could probably do okay in Vegas. I'm not suggesting that you take your children there, but if these kinds of wacky things help your children, then it's okay to give some thought to embracing that. And especially this particular guy who can remember a full deck of playing cards. I barely know what's in a deck of playing cards, let alone to remember a full deck. So it says that kids can learn all kinds of things just through the association of something that's memorable to them. So you want to support that. The next fast learning recommendation is speed reading. It can condense the learning time for the children. That's number 7. It says, if you train your brain to process words more quickly, you get accustomed to reading entire strings of words rather than imagining each word individually, which slows down your reading. And so there are a lot of reading programs that can help you to make your reading go faster. So if you go online, you can make the selection that you want in terms of a reading program that can help you to manage speeding up your reading and retaining what you read as well. The number 8 suggestion is practice, practice, practice. Now I know most people are not crazy about practice. The one long-standing joke, I guess, about practice is the basketball player Allen Iverson, when he said practice, practice, it's like, I don't need to practice. I'm already a pro and I know what I'm doing. But that may very well be true for Allen Iverson. But when kids are learning new things, they certainly do need to practice, because with practice, it produces a strong work ethic and it makes a real impact on their brain. And that's what we're trying to do, parents, is that this is a new school year and you do want your child's brain to work at its full capacity, but you want to be able to help out as much as you can. And one of the ways to make that happen is through practice. It says in a 2004 study in Nature, that's a magazine, it found that the act of juggling produced more gray matter in the brain, and when the juggling was stopped, the gray matter disappeared. So juggling, which I cannot do, but if your kids have good hand-eye coordination, they recommend juggling. It's just a way to engage the brain. It says it's not the act of juggling that makes the difference. What makes the difference is the repetition. So that's what practice is. It's repeating the same thing over and over until you get it and it sticks with you. So this process, it has a name. It's called pruning. And it says neuroscientists calls it this because new pathways are carved by doing an act over and over again. It makes it stick, and it stays around for good. So skills follow the use it or lose it principle. So if whatever it is, and I go back to timetables because the guest that we had on last week, Spencer, her mother said that when they would go to school during the mornings and they're just in the car, they would go over her timetables. And it's true. Just because you went over them last night, in the morning, you have a fresh mindset about things and you have a new perspective. So it's a good thing to help kids learn new things by having them do them in the morning over and over so that it cements and it sticks. And of course, they're going to complain, oh, I don't want to do this. Didn't we do this last night? And the answer to that is yes. But the idea is to help them succeed. And even though you hear a lot in politics about no child left behind and this and that and the other, and that's great, but you have to be the biggest advocate for your child. And so if you don't want your child to be left behind, it's a good thing if you engage them in a manner, especially in a car on the commute to school every morning. It's almost like a refresher course. So if you have that time to spend with your children in the mornings or in the afternoons when you pick them up, use it to learn new things. I remember when my son was a child, this is how he learned to count money, is after school, if he wanted to go buy something, a treat or something, we would use that opportunity and that time to learn how to count money. Because you can't ever be too good at money counting. So this is a great opportunity to practice. It will not kill them, even though, like I said, they may not have much interest in doing it, but your job as a parent is to help them explore, fail, make an attempt, and learn things. So that's what you want to do. The ninth skill that they offer to fast learning is to use what you know to learn what you don't know. Now, when I saw that one, I was thinking, now that's an interesting concept. It says, when kids encounter new material that they have trouble digesting, help them by relating it to something they know already. This is called associative learning. And when you think about that, that makes sense. Many times if you have an idea about something and you're struggling with something new, if you can figure out a way to make the two relate, then you can better embrace the new information. The example that they use is about differential calculus. And they say that if your child plays sports, and in particular if they play football, it's a good way to help understand calculus because they can see the similarities between football and how the ball spirals when they pass it, and how that connects to the slope of a curve. And it says that this gelling of the abstract concept of differential calculus and the actual real life playing football, if you can help them to make the association, then they will do better in calculus. Now, I have some more information to give you after the break, so stay with me, and if you have comments or questions, please feel free to call at 323-293-3375. We'll be right back.
Mastering math can be big fun for you and everyone. Play it each and every day. Master math the easy way. Sing, play it, Math Maze.
Why not turn math time into fun time with Math Maze, the new game craze? Get yours today at mathmaze.us.
Mom, now you can
The Smiths are doing their
Master math and have big fun. Play it each and every day. Master math the easy way. Sing, play it. Math Maze.
Make sure your child owns the skills necessary for success in high school algebra. Get it now. Mathmaze.us. Mathmaze.us.
Dad, now you can help your daughter play it like you know you oughta. Play it each and every day. Master math the easy way. Say it, play it. Math Maze.
Math Maze cards contain both Spanish and English. Get yours today at mathmaze.us. That's mathmaze.us.
Thank you so much for joining the Carolyn Holt Show. I'm happy that you've joined me this evening because we're talking about ways to help your children become fast learners. And with the new school year, there's a lot going on in most households, and we all want our children to be a success. And one of the ways to make that happen is our level of participation. I'm sharing with you tonight an article from Business Insider, and they are helping to share what they call the science of learning. And I think that what they've done is offered up some very good tools and processes to help your kids along in terms of learning new things, but not only to help your kids. Some of these systems and processes can help you as an adult. So we're at number 10. The number 10 way to help your children become fast learners is looking things up isn't always a bad thing. It says that kids need to learn how to grapple with tough problems. The act itself teaches them discipline, and that act, by the act they mean looking things up. But don't spend too long on a problem, because that makes it worse. And it says that in 2008, researchers found that unresolved tip of the tongue moments, those moments when you have that, the information, it's right there on the tip of your tongue and you just can't say it. That's what they mean by tip of the tongue moments. When you just can't remember, kids, the idea is to help them. What they call this is an error state. So it's to help them get past this error state where they can't remember the fact, but they only remember the tip of the tongue moment. Well, what you want them to get to is remembering the information. And they say, though, but if they can't get past that, I love the recommendation they had. They said, Google it. And it's amazing how the world has changed so much. I remember the Encyclopedia Britannica, and every household had those, and that's what you did your reports from, and that's what you used to further your learning. Well, now, you don't have to go through that. You can go straight to Google and find out whatever information you need. But you do want to help your children look things up, and looking things up will help them to be comfortable when they have to grapple with things and they really have to apply a thought process to find an answer to something. It's a good tool to help them develop, because there will come a time, especially as they get to high school and as they get to college, they'll start to be introduced to a lot of new information, and they may not know anything about the information. So yes, Google is a fine tool, but if there are books in your house, that's always a good tool. Reading books, you can't beat the experience of learning new things. Reading books is an excellent way to learn about any new thing. Now, I know you can go to YouTube and learn how to fix and repair or whatever, anything in the world. But just reading books for the sheer joy of learning new and interesting things is a good thing as well. So don't just rely on Google. Have books around the house that will introduce your children to new things. Now, the last tip, number 11, I think this is the most interesting one, because it says teaching others helps you too. And that's true. It says this is excellent for kids. It's called the protege effect. And a protege is, as you know, somebody who learns something from someone else. And it says, when they take something that they have learned and put it into their own words, it shows mastery over the knowledge and refining their understanding of the information. And now this was the interesting part. It says a 2007 study suggested that due to this effect, the protege effect, older siblings are generally smarter than younger ones because the job of the older sibling is passing on knowledge they receive to the younger one. Well, you know, in most households, that would create a huge problem because I believe that it is true that older siblings are smarter. But I can see fights brewing already because younger children don't want to feel inferior to their older siblings. But I believe it's a fact that they learn things. I remember when I learned my ABCs, I learned them from my brother. My parents, they didn't teach me ABCs or numbers. My brother was 6 years older than I, and because he had 6 years on me, when I went to school, I knew all of the basic things, you know, your numbers, your ABCs, and that sort of thing. Now, I am going to say my brother probably does consider himself smarter, but we know that in this instant it's not true. I'm smarter than he is. But the study does suggest that the older sibling is the smartest because they've been through much of this information and they know how to help the younger sibling digest it so that it's in a way that it's memorable. And again, the whole idea is that you're trying to help your child to succeed. And one of the ways that they will succeed is by how much they can memorize. Because again, going back to the multiplication tables, it is pretty much by memory. You know, you just have to know that 3 times 3 is 9, or that 9 times 3 is 27. So it is that repetition and that practice that makes the big difference. And whomever you can get to help out, it's a good thing. But if you have older children, it is good to engage them and ask them to help the younger ones learn these things. I know on the Ellen DeGeneres show, I love Ellen's show. I think it's very funny. But one of the things that she does a lot of work with kids. And from time to time, she has a young girl on there that knows all the presidents of the United States. And I think she's such a cute little kid and a funny little girl, but she works very hard at practice because she does a lot of association, and that's how she's able to win contests around the country by being a good student of history. Now, when I think about being in school, I didn't care so much for history, but I do recognize that learning to associate information is a good way to learn how to be a good historian. So this little girl reminds me every time I see her on Ellen, you know, how important it is to go over things and repeat things. And like I said, I know that children, they can give you a hard time and say, oh, you know, we did this in class today and I didn't get it. And you, the parent, is saying, you know what, well, we don't want to be up all night. We want you to focus. And it is good to push them a little bit. That's not going to hurt them because working at learning is something that will serve them well in all of their lives. When they get out on their own and they have to do a job, as most of you parents know, with most of these jobs, because they tend to be technical, you're being introduced to new information almost daily because things change so much just within a year. You can have like more than one computer system that you're introduced to, or more than one sales or marketing idea that you're introduced to. And so one of the ways that you succeed at learning these new things is that you pay attention, you practice doing them. And there are many times on these jobs that they don't give you a lot of instruction. They may say, well, here's the manual, just read how to do this new thing. So all of this information that I've shared with you tonight, it's just to help get your kids into good habits when it comes to learning and when it comes to being a success in school. So I hope that the information that I have imparted was useful and beneficial, because we want to produce a lot of successful kids. And parents, that's where you come in. You are the main reason that your children will succeed. You are their first and most important influence. And so you don't want to neglect your opportunity to be impactful. So as always, the idea behind this show is to help you keep your head up. Well, we not only want you to keep your head up, we want the kids to be able to do that as well. So I just want to say, keep your head up, because we want to move you from misery to magnificence and from subpar to spectacular. Next week is Labor Day, and the show won't be live, but I hope that you have a wonderful, lovely Labor Day, because it's then the end of summer and you know it, and you have to get down to your studies. So thank you so much for joining me tonight. Keep your head up.
Math can be big fun for you and everyone. Play it each and every day. Master math the easy way. Say it, play it, Math Maze.
Why not turn math time into fun time with Math Maze, the new game craze? Get yours today at mathmaze.us.
Mom, now you can help your son master math and have big fun. Play it each and every day. Master math the easy way. Say it, play it. Math Maze.
Make sure your child owns the skills necessary for success in high school algebra. Get it now. Mathmaze.us. Mathmaze.us.
Dad, now you can help your daughter play it like you know you oughta. Play it each and every day. Master math the easy way. Say it, play it. Math Maze.
Math Maze cards contain both Spanish and English. Get yours today at mathmaze.us. That's mathmaze.us.
Give me your